Morning, and welcome to the magnificent, the magical Masai Mara in Kenya. You're on your very own live safari. My name is Brent Leo Smith. We have Fergus Clark on camera today, and we're with the wonderful Angama Pride. And there was a bit of fun this morning as a cub was attempting to stalk and hunt a zebra. A little bit big for him, I'm afraid, but I do like the chutzpah he was showing. And they're not looking too hungry, but they were on the move, but I think they've flopped down for now. So they're just lying there having a look. That female is looking longingly to where the zebra disappeared towards. I think the grass is a bit short for them to have success during the daylight hours, unless something happens to stumble upon them. Now, there's literally a carpet of lions starting there. 1, 2, 3, 4... and keep going. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And now we get into the serious cub spots. 12, 13, 14, 15. Behind, there's 2 in that pile there. 16. So 16 in total. So 4 adult lionesses. 12 cubs currently. Now, I think there's 1 cub missing, but it could very easily be having a snooze behind one of the large bushes, or not so large bushes, the round bushes, or could just be flat behind a clump of grass. All the smallest ones seem to be accounted for. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 of them. Five little ones. The lady seems to have seen something. The lady on top of the termite mound, she's definitely picked up her interest, or 2 of them have. Oh my goodness, look at that. Isn't that just magnificent? What can I see in the distance? I can see some eland, but they seem a bit far away, and some zebra also a bit far away. What have you seen, pretty lady? Stephen and Co. is wondering, why do lions change colour from the beautiful golden colour during the wet season to a sort of dull grey during the dry season? Stephen, they don't actually change colour. I think it's just the light and reflecting off and what's around them. They don't change colour at all. Even in the dry season, the lions retain that golden colour as long as there's golden light on them. So they don't change colour at all. You will find some lions are more pale than others, and some are more golden than others. Some have cub spots that last into adulthood, some don't. So it all depends on the individuals, but they don't actually change colour at all. She's very interested, and I can't see what's behind us. Let me just sit up quickly. Sorry about the bumps, Ferg. Morning, Siberia, one of our Zoomies, and Siberia is wondering what is currently classified as a mega pride. Well, I don't think there's actually a sort of one classification, but from my experience, a mega pride sort of has to be closing on 10, 15 or plus adults in a pride. So the last 2... Oh, hang on, I heard something. I can hear a male in the far distance, but long way away. So the last true mega pride I spent a lot of time with was called the Mountain Pride within the Kruger Park, and with cubs and males and everything, by the time I left, they were on about 39 lions, with about 16 or 17 adult females. Now, when prides get that size, mega prides don't tend to stay together too long. The competition for food amongst the pride and the pressure on the lionesses for providing that food becomes very, very difficult. So what happens is those prides normally split into sub-prides. Now, in the Mara, that happens quite often, even before the prides get too big. So there's quite a lot of fluidity between the different lion prides, and you'll find quite a few different female prides in an area will be related, even if it is distantly. And the more time they spend apart, the less friendly they are with each other. So they do become sort of enemies after a period of time, even though they might have come from the same pride. We're going to spend a little bit more time with the Angama pride. If they don't get moving, I think we're going to go try and see if we can find that female cheetah who's been hanging around on the escarpment. But while we do that, I'm sure, actually, I know for a fact, Jamie's been out all night, and I think you need to ask her why she is the Marshmallow Queen.
I am the Marshmallow Queen. I take that title with complete acceptance. I have taken it over from Brent, who was the Marshmallow King. I am now the Marshmallow Queen. And there you go. What a lovely view of some ostriches to start off our morning. It wasn't the animal I was planning on starting the morning off with, but you know, at this point, I think Manu and I will take what we can get. And if it's ostrich and topi, it is ostrich and topi for the opening of our morning. My name is Jamie. This morning, Manu is on camera with me. And we're really muddy. We're really, really muddy. So I would like to tell you a short story. A short story I'm going to go over the shoulder because this... Please don't splatter me with mud, Mr. Kruger. Okay, I would like to tell you a short story. It's entitled Hubris and Regret. And it involves a large puddle that wasn't a puddle. It really wasn't. It was not a puddle. We should have gone through it at high speed. We didn't go through it at high speed, and then we didn't go through it at all. And the worst part is the fact that it happened at about 8 o'clock, Manu, give or take. Are we going to get sprayed in the face by mud? Are we? Just hold on. I'll continue the thrilling tale in a moment. Whee! Morning. You look like you know something I don't. Which at this point is not hard to believe. So the worst part is we actually had to pay somebody to come and pull us out. The even worse part of that was that he didn't have to pull us out. I was ejected from the driver's seat by quite an excitable man in a red shuka, and he casually drove us out. Look, drove is a strong word. I'm not quite sure how Mila did it. Neither is she. She was smoking by the end of it, but she was out. So there you go. The thrilling tale of the time that Manu and myself got stuck for 2 hours-ish, probably more. The nice thing, of course, about that was that we were out looking for lions, and then the lions found us. The not-so-nice part about that was that they didn't actually come to the vehicle. He just sat and roared where we couldn't see him, so we all had to get back into the vehicle. Now, you actually haven't seen, I've got to show you, you haven't seen my my full nighttime attire, but I think you need to admire it now in all its glory. Let me remove my earpiece. Final Control will be cursing my name. So, this is, I can't show you what Mila looks like. I can sort of show you what I look like. My microphone is going for a walk. Hold on. So this is, these were kindly donated to me by Graham because, well, it's cold. They're now muddy all the way up. And my shoes at one point weighed probably about 1/10 of my body weight, possibly more. They're looking better. There was about a layer of mud this thick and sort of circular, an elephant-sized footprint. And then I cut my finger on the windscreen, and then we ran out of hot water, and then I found lions. They were on the wrong side of the drainage line. Then I couldn't find them this morning. I give up. We tried everything. And there was something else. There was another part of that story I was meant to tell you. what was it? Oh, and we've got the mattresses, but luckily Manu's quite resourceful. He managed to find us some. And that is the tale of our night, pretty much. We have slid and skidded and slid some more, and I have well and truly earned the title of the Marshmallow Queen, which I imagine is going to be lorded over me until he gets stuck the next time. Speaking of him, let's go back to Brent and the Angamas.
Yes, well, I don't think Jamie's going to live that one down for a while. I will admit I was the first to get stuck after the last TV show, but I don't think quite as badly as Jamie and Manu managed to get last night. But when you get stuck, it's not fun till about 2 days afterwards. Then you can smile and laugh about it. But we decided to just spend a little bit longer with the Angamas. It's just so absolutely gorgeous with the lioness and all the cubs all sharing the same termite mound. Beautiful. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you have any questions for us. We'd love to hear from you. And what a way to start the sunrise safari. You might hear some in the background, and there's the vultures descending onto what is left of the warthog kill. There we go. Rupels, griffins, and whiteback vultures fighting over the scraps of that warthog that was killed 2 days ago. So the lion pride hasn't moved from that spot since the rain. So this is the first time the vultures have had an opportunity to munch upon what is left. And then also one of my favorite calls echoing across the open grassland of the Mara. I'm just going to keep quiet, see if you can hear it. Doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. That ground hornbill's calling in the distance. There's not much left. I'm sure there was not much left after this pride. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Look at all the light catching the dew with the little curious kitty. Where are you off to, little one? You look like you're on a mission. Oh, just calling. Oh. Now, just to let everyone know, unfortunately, Djuma is experiencing some gremlin issues. So you're going to be with Jamie and I. Hopefully, our incredible tech team will get it sorted ASAP, so we can bring you the wonders of Kenya and South Africa in the same drive. Such a stunning sight. All the lions catching a few early morning rays. Oh. Sounds at the moment incredible. You might hear some other vehicles as well coming in, because we are not the only ones enjoying the gorgeous Angamas. And I just heard some, oh, there we go, they're the ground hornbill that are calling, Ferg. And you see them walking there. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Now you're on them. There he is. Oh, he's got something as well. So there's one calling. That one is responding, but it's a bit more muffled because it's got something in its beak. Are you going to stop to munch down on it, or is he going to give it to his girlfriend? So a lot of ground hornbills will make gifts of food during the nesting season, which I'm not actually sure. The nesting season in the Mara might be different from Southern Africa. I'm going to have to actually do some research on that. But so during the nesting season, the male hornbill will make gifts of whatever he can catch to the females before, to sort of encourage her into mating and to nesting. Oh, the hornbill keeps cruising along. It looks like our lions all want to sit on the same termite mound, and it's getting a bit crowded up there. Pretty Bobcat is wondering, how much does a normal lioness weigh? Well, Pretty Bobcat, it all depends on what area. Your average weight for a single lioness is about 120 kilograms, but they can get as big as 140, and I think the record in the wild is about 150 kilograms. But generally between 120 and 130 is a safe average for lioness. Male lions, normally around 200 to 210 kilograms, with really big individuals being between 230 and 250 kilograms. And the largest male lion ever recorded in the wild is from Namibia, who is just under 300 kilograms. Now, remember, for those of you who might be new to Safari Live, this is coming to you 100% live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. You are watching these gorgeous lions at the exact same time as us. And if you want to ask us any questions, jump onto Twitter and use the hashtag Safari Live. Now, as the sun comes up, it's going to start getting warmer. The lions might make their way towards some shade. And you can see they're still relatively well fed. That fat, massive warthog that they had the other day is still keeping them well fed. And so here we go. It looks like we're on the move, or some of us are at least. And this is so much fun. Now, while we move ahead to keep up with the lions, let's go across to the other side of the Mara, to Jamie, who's also moving, but probably a little bit faster than our lions.
Well, that's debatable, really. The speed that we're moving at is, well, pretty much snail's pace at this point. I'm just trying to get us back to a main road, really. There have been parts of this, I mean, the nice part about this all is there have been times where I haven't had to steer. Oh, goodness. What's even funnier is that Manu, despite his experiences, continues to retain his courage. And every time we got to a point where there was another dip that looked similar to the one we got stuck in, Manu was going, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it, just go fast, just go fast. Oh boy, it's been an interesting time. Very interesting evening. I just want someone to make me a cup of tea. Oh, hello Gnus and Zebbies. I think... Oh, there we go. I have got comms. Oh, look at this little zebra over here. Maritza, you read my mind, I have to confess. I'm not entirely sure. We'll make a plan. We always do. Maritza's wondering how we going to broadcast from the Mara when it's really raining in the way that it does at the sort of the high rainy season. We'll do it. We'll manage. I don't quite know how yet, but we will. We've sort of thought the whole rain cover principle on Paka. We're still waiting to apply that principle to Mila and Chiquito, our vehicles. But we've got a very good, very watertight rain system for Paka. So that's a good start. And we'll be fine. I'm just out of practice when it comes to driving in mud, that's all. Been driving around the sands for the last 2 years. It was entirely my fault. Entirely. Which makes it even worse, doesn't it? I thought it was a puddle. It was actually a vacuum of doom. Oh, you should have seen us. I think it must have been very funny to the casual observer, pulling branches off, walking off into the dark, but very slowly because you're falling all over the place, slipping and sliding. And then, of course, to add insult to injury, every single lion I found last night afterwards was not in a good place. But the good news is we've sort of found some of the migration. Last night we drove through a wildebeest herd of about a couple thousand, and I can hear more of them canoeing off to the east of me, so they're around. And every lion I found was looking very fat and very happy. So Jake, yes, absolutely, more areas become non-off-road areas. If not by the rules, certainly by practicality. Black cotton soil areas during the heavy rains, we won't be able to off-road. So whether or not even certain roads are closed during the heavy rains. We'll figure it out though. I'm not in any way concerned. There's still plenty to recommend the Mara even during the height of the rainy season. But yes, certainly. I want us to get a bit closer to this foal. Certainly it's going to present new and interesting challenges. And we certainly won't be going anywhere fast, if last night was anything to judge by. I've missed the sound of the wildebeest, I didn't realize. Little baby zebra. Oh, lovely. It is a beautiful morning. Maritza, we actually did manage to procure mattresses. Manu, true to form, managed to find us some. I don't know how, but he did manage to find us some small foam mattresses that we did sleep on. I actually don't usually use the mattresses because usually I fit quite, I wouldn't say comfortably, but quite well in the front seat, especially when we're sitting watching lions. I can put my hips on the passenger seat and my head on the driver's seat and curl my legs up, and I can usually manage in that way. It's the advantage of being quite a small human being. And that way I can watch the monitor and watch the lions at the same time to make sure they don't disappear while we're having a bit of a doze. But last night there was no point, really. We didn't have anything. We were bone tired from trying to get the car unstuck, jacking, digging, cutting, sliding. So we just sort of crashed. But we do have mattresses, and it was actually, I guess I'd say it was almost comfortable last night. Hey, little one. You don't have such luxuries. You don't know what you're missing. Okay, we're going to, I don't know what we're going to do. I think we're going to slip and slide our way back towards Talek. While we do that, of course, you might be wondering what has happened to Tristan. I don't think he got stuck, but I'm sure he has a tale of his morning to tell.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our sunrise safari from Djuma. And yes, Jamie, we do have a story to tell, and no, we weren't stuck. But as Jamie alluded to, my name is Tristan. On camera today, I have got Sinzo, and it is live, it is interactive. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube chat if you want to get hold of us. Now, we did have a interesting morning, to say the least. We've had Gowrie's repeater. The batteries decided, nope, we're not dealing with all this overcast, cloudy, rainy weather, and so they were down. So we went and changed batteries. Then Gowrie repeater decided, no, I don't want to start so early in the morning. It's Tuesday, terrible Tuesday, and I want to stay in bed for a while. So then we had to kind of sit, and Peter was trying to help us remotely to try and get that sorted out. And so we've been back and forth, and well, we're at least up and running now, which is good news. Now, in terms of any updates from this morning, because I have been driving around for, what's the time now? A good 45 minutes we've been driving around. And we had tracks for one of the Angama females going north towards Sydney's Dam, drinking, turning around and going into Simambili, and that's the only thing there. And then we had tracks what looks like Mvula also going up towards Sydney's Dam. But that's it so far this morning. Otherwise, quite quiet so far. We're going to check now down towards the south because I've changed my route because I was back at the Gowrie repeater. So I'm going to check slowly towards the south. Maybe there'll be some signs of Shadow and Cub, and if not them, any other signs of our spotted cats down towards the southern areas. Failing all of that, I think it will be back up towards Aubrey's Road and go and spend some time at Gwen's Den. The hyenas, for those of you who don't know who Gwen is, it's a hyena den. And there's two little ones there that were very entertaining yesterday, so I think that's possibly where I'll head. But it sounds like there's lots and lots and lots and lots of lions all around us, because there was the Torchwood Pride was seen on Torchwood, the Talamati Pride was seen this morning near Buffelshoek boundary, Nkuma Pride was somewhere very close to Triple M, and the Styx Pride was also just on our southern boundary. So everybody's kind of skirting Djuma at the moment, but lots of different prides around. So 4 different prides, and then obviously the 4 Birmingham spread out between all of those prides at the moment. But as you can see, it is again another overcast grey day. We didn't get any rain that I can think of last night. There was a bit sort of dewful this morning, but no rain, so to speak. Anka and, well, everybody else on the Twitter, YouTube verse want to know, what socks is Senzo wearing this morning? Senzo, what socks are you wearing this morning? Cold socks. So Senzo just points to the sky as though if I should know better, so they're brown socks. Brown socks. So Senzo's got his drab brown socks. It's not sunny. Remember, it has to be sunny for this the vibrant, bright socks. So just brown socks on this morning for Senzo. But there is a bird of prey that is sitting in the tree over here. I'm not 100% sure what it is just yet. I haven't had a good look, but it looks like a brown snake eagle, and off it flies. So it's now unfortunately left us, but it was a brown snake eagle that was just drifting and ghosting over the tree branches, and it's now landed in a tree, well, where we can't see it at all. So I'm sure it's the same brown snake eagle that we see all the time in this general vicinity. We're in an area where the brown snake eagles seem to absolutely love. They like all these big marulas, and they sit on there and then they swoop down and grab varying snakes. So unfortunately, no bright colors from Senzo this morning, and I'm sure this afternoon, if the sun comes out, we'll see another pair of magnificent socks, and hopefully there'll be some very interesting ones. We're going to have to find millions of pairs of socks for you, Senzo, otherwise you're going to struggle with keeping this up and trying to find new pairs of socks every single day. Just checking on top of a termite mound way in the distance. It almost looked like there was something on it, but I might be wrong. I just want to quickly have a look with my binoculars. It is very far away, and I don't think I have anything. I just wanted to double check. No, it's just a patch of light colored grass right on the top. It's that termite mound in the distance there. You can see it between the trees, sort of center of the frame. You see there's a light colored patch on top, and so that's what, when you're driving around, sometimes little color changes like that, always just good to double check, because that's the kind of color a leopard will take on top of a mound, or a lioness or something like that. So always worth checking on mounds. When you see some sort of light color right near the top and you far away, it's always good just to stop and have a little look. I think while we're down this side of the world as well, I might just have a little look at our vulture nest, see how our young vulture is getting on. Must be starting to get a little bigger now, and I wonder if it's starting to flap around and maybe jump from branch to branch and start to explore its tree, because it will be getting to that age where it might start looking around a little bit. And last time we were at the tree, the feathers, you could see the down feathers had been molting out, and the proper feathers, adult feathers, were starting to come through. So I'm going to try and have a little look and see if that vulture maybe is sitting out of the nest for once, or if it's still on the nest itself and still relying on the adults. Now, the other good piece of news that, well, for me at least is good news, is that I managed to scrounge around in our tech room this morning while trying to find batteries and get everything else going, and I found an earpiece. So for those of you who don't know, I've had a nightmare with earpieces. I've unfortunately severed the heads off most of them in the last month, and then, well, I had an earpiece which was just failing me miserably many times in the last few days, and so I kept missing links and not hearing the directors, and, well, it was all just a little bit of a mess from my end. So I managed to scrounge around and find an earpiece at the bottom of a box that didn't look as though it would work, but it works absolutely perfectly, so I can hear very well today. I've got no breaking up, which is wonderful news. It means that at least now I can listen to the directors and actually hear what's going on, which is fantastic, as well as the game drive. It's amazing how much better the the Game Drive channel is, since I've got my new earpiece, which I don't think is new. I think it's an old one that everyone forgot about at the bottom of a box. So I'm glad though that we found it. Are you going to stay there for me? No, you're not. It was a lilac-breasted roller, but it was really right next to the road, so I wanted it to stay, but it's landed here on top. Love My and a few others, you're wondering if we can go see the baby hyenas again this morning. As I was saying just now, that is the plan. We're going to just be down in the south of the reserve for a little bit. If nothing happening down this side, then we're going to go back up towards the hyena den and go and see if they are out and about and what they're doing. So we will go and have a little look and check around for the den and see if the little ones are out. But you can see our lilac-breasted roller looking as though it's missing a tail streamer. Has it only got one little streamer coming off? It does. No. I wonder if the ladies will reject him, or if the men will reject her. Difficult to say if it's a male or a female. They obviously are the same when they're adults. They have this bright coloration, and male and female are fairly similar. You might find... So Lou says there's nothing wrong with being different. Well, yes, I suppose nothing wrong, although the one tail streamer might just not appeal to some. Who knows? It's interesting. Either way, I'm sure this bird will be fine. And you can hear in the background there is a crested barbet that is also making a noise. I can't actually see it. Sinto, can you see it? I don't see it either, but it is calling from this marula tree, so it's somewhere there. It's just hiding from us. You would think a crested barbet wouldn't be able to hide given its bright coloration. Where are you? Somewhere in there. Maybe if I reposition slightly you'll find it. I can also see our vultures on the nest too. They're just up ahead, so I'm going to try and just move forward. If I spot our crested barbet, I will stop and have a look. They are beautiful birds, just like the rollers, also full with colour, except the crested barbets have more yellows and black mottled pattern, but still very beautiful. Let's see if we can get a nice angle on our vulture here. Ah, there goes our crested barbet. It's joining our vulture. Excellent. That's exactly what we needed. Right, so let's do our crested barbet first, because from here it will be easier. You see it there, Senzo, on the top left. There's the crested barbet. So it decided to join us at this tree. It decided it wanted to be on camera and came this way. So there you can see it. It's got those yellows and reds and oranges all throughout the body. Everybody's going to look a little on the drab side this morning because of the sort of soft light that's out in the grey overcast conditions. You need bright sunshine for a lot of these birds to really come out. And there's the vulture nest in the top of the tree. You can see one vulture sitting on it at the moment. I don't see any sign of the chick's head just yet, but there's the adult vulture just peering at us through the thicket. Oh, there's a chick, I think. Is it moving? Down below? There we go. So it is there. And still very little. I thought maybe it would be slightly bigger than what it is, but it is still very small. You can see it's quite white and fluffy, which is that little white thing below the wings of the adult vulture, and so it's still got a way to go before it's going to be flying anywhere or bouncing around. That is still quite little, and I haven't been able to actually see it nicely. This is the first time that I've seen it properly, and we're still going to be a long road ahead until that one is even remotely jumping around in the branches or trying to take short flights. I would say it's probably at least 3 months until it's going to be flying, maybe even longer, which is still a long period for that adult to feed it and make sure that it's surviving. Interestingly though, that's only the one of them, so the other adult must have found a carcass late last night and is stuck there overnight, and then is going to feed and come back and relieve this one of duties. They do often separate like that, but normally if you come early in the morning before the sun's really up and then the thermals are heating up and the birds are able to fly, then you find both of them here. So interesting that it's just the one today. It means the other one must have found some sort of food item overnight or just before sunset and got stuck in that area and will come back as soon as it's fed. Yes, vultures most certainly will attack each other for food. When they come down to a carcass, it's a free-for-all. Everybody goes after one another. Everybody will go and try and pick and fight and claw, and it gets quite violent, actually. You'll find feathers get pulled out and plucked, and pecking happens, and there's a little bit of blood sometimes even around the neck and sort of shoulder areas. So they do get quite feisty around carcasses, particularly smaller carcasses. But obviously there's times where there's more than enough food for everybody and they don't fight too much. It also depends on which vulture you are. If you're a leopard-faced vulture, then the only other vulture that's going to take you on is another leopard-faced vulture, and there's not that many of them around, so they generally walk around a carcass fairly unscathed. But these white-backs fight heavily because there's so many and they're so common in this area that they get stuck into one another fairly regularly. And like I say, feathers get pulled out and it all becomes quite noisy and quite feisty around the carcass, especially as predators leave and there's that first flux in and everybody comes running in and there's 30-40 vultures around a carcass. Then it just gets out of hand completely very quickly, and those beaks must hurt. I've actually seen somebody that's been picked by a vulture and not very pleasant at all. They had a nice gaping wound on their foot. Stephen, you're asking if vultures have predators they need to avoid. Well, yes, they do. As adult birds, not so much. You'll find that they do need to be careful of hyena and lion. Both of those I've seen, and leopard, I've seen them taking vultures before. But in terms of their main threats, it's when they're still young, when they're chicks in a nest like this, where they'll have threats of snakes, leopards, civets, genets, any bird of prey that can get up there. Something like a martial eagle will come in there sometimes, crowned eagles, lots and lots of different predators. As long as they can get to the nest, they will get to those little ones. Snakes would be another one, so big pythons, even black mambas would go after chicks. So there's a lot of threats when they're still in the nest, but once they become adult birds, not so many predators. What are you watching? Seems like she's watching something, or he. Catherine, they normally lay 2 eggs, and what happens with that is that generally one egg will hatch before the other, and that bird generally is stronger, and so the stronger bird outcompetes that smaller chick. It gets food first, and sometimes they'll even push the egg of the other one out before it hatches, or they'll just push the bird out itself or peck it to death. So there's siblicide is massive in vultures, and in fact 99.9% of all vultures nesting and eggs, there will be one that will kill the others and make sure that they are the only one left. So it will only be one chick that gets raised to adulthood, but they do lay 2, and there has been even reported cases of 3 eggs, but generally just 2. It seems very watchful, this vulture, almost like it's staring at something. Maybe it's just us, and because we're behind the branch for it's kind of watching over us. You can see it's got some of the fluff from the chick stuck to its head. Maybe this one is going for a different look. It's starting to get a bit of a wig look going. It's decided the short shaved head is no good for it. It wants long feathers. You can see it flapping in the breeze, so it's got some of the down feathers from this chick stuck to its head, which is quite comical. It's almost like the Albert Einstein of vulture world. So imagine if they had all bits stuck all the way around. Very cool. Oh, and tired as well. Big yawn. Sid, you're curious to know what sound vultures make. Well, Sid, I can tell you it is not a pleasant sound at all. They do not make a beautiful singing song. They screech and make really a big racket. So I will try and play it for you. We'll get our trusty friend Pooji involved. And so Pooji, I just need to turn Pooji on. Now, a lot of you may be wondering who exactly Pooji is. Now, Pooji is our little speaker friend that rides along. You might have seen his eyes on the bonnet earlier when I was saying hello. So there's Pooji. Let's just turn Pooji a little bit so he can face the camera. There we go, Pooji. You need to face the camera. And let's see, white-backed vulture. Just got to find it quickly on my phone. There we go. Right. Pleasant sound. Really. So that is the sound of a white-backed vulture. Very, very nice sound. So really not very pleasant at all, and they all sound very similar to that. So if you go to any of the other vultures, they'll all be pretty kind of on the same level. Then none of them have a singing song or anything like that. I'll try and find another vulture species that we see regularly, which is the, let's see, the white-headed maybe. No, they don't have any no records or calls for any of the other vultures, but they all make a similar sound. They all screech like that at carcasses. There's no real call that they have that makes them sort of attract mates or anything like that. They do all of that by vision. Right, Pooji needs to go back into his corner where he can sit and stay on the dashboard and smile at everybody. So there we go. I think onward we're going to go. We're going to leave our vultures alone since I've woken up the chick and this female with the screeching of vultures. She probably thinks, what is going on? There's this big hulking great vulture sitting below me making a lot of noise as though there was food, but yet I see nothing. So we don't want to confuse our vultures too much, and also I don't want to disturb the little ones on the nest. Yeah, exactly. Lou says, why is that vulture's dung screaming at me? Exactly. I would also be confused if dung was screaming at me too. But apparently Pooji is not, obviously Poo, we just call it that because we think it's funny, but it's supposed to be a chocolate ice cream as far as I'm told, and as far as the instructions say is a chocolate swirl is what it's known as. But well, we all think differently, so we've decided to call it Pooji. The speaker Pooji is along for the ride. Adventures of Pooji is going to be the next phase, and well, we think it adds a bit of to the dashboard. There's a little set of eyes, and it's all quite fun. And there's also a red-crested Quran that is busy moving away from me into the long grass and camouflaging very well. Is it a red-crested Quran or is it a black-belly bustard? No, red-crested Quran is what it is. You can see no black going up towards the beak, so these red-crested Qurans are around quite a bit, and they have the best ever display when they are looking for mates. You'll find them doing the suicidal dive, and they've got this call that starts with bull clapping and then goes into this fever pitch, and then they come screaming down towards the ground, and at the last second they open their wings, and it's all very brave to try and show the female how these guys can plummet to the earth with no fear and then pop out. So it's funny to watch them doing it. And this is the male bird that you see here. Is a lot more brighter in coloration. You can see his little crest at the back is not up at the moment, so he's got it on the back of his head. Senzo is the crest there, those whitish tipped feathers. When that is in display, that will all puff up and there'll be a red crest that forms on top there. So that's all flattened because there's no other birds around and there's no need for him to display. What you'll also notice is that this bird is very well camouflaged on the back, but the chest area is bright black, and it stands out against this light colored grass, and it looks like, why would this bird have this kind of coloration? Well, the reason is it's called flash coloration. And so what happens with a predator is a predator will come along, spook this bird. Generally they generally don't actually see the bird from far away, they spook it, and this bird goes up and it's got this then jet black chest, jet black wings, and the predator sees that, and then the bird flies and lands not too far away, but it lands with its back towards that predator. Now the predator is looking for black and the contrasting color, but it's actually then turns its wings, which is very well camouflaged, and then it hides away, and the predator is then looking for the wrong coloration altogether. So it's a very clever way to do things and to be able to hide oneself in plain sight. This guy's very relaxed though. Generally they are a little bit shy and will move off into grass and into other areas. Ooh, so Jake, you say if you would go on safari, how likely would it be to see an eagle or another bird of prey hunting? Ooh, very rare. We see them a lot moving around, see them a lot with carcasses that they're feeding on, but to see them actually hunting and killing is very uncommon. It happens in a blink of an eye as well, so sometimes you don't even notice it's happening, and all of a sudden, boom, there it is, and there's this bird of prey that's come out of nowhere and grabbed something. So in my time as a guide, I probably count on one hand the amount of times I've seen a bird of prey grab a prey item or hunt a prey item. It's not very common at all. I mean, we're talking about proper things. I'm not talking about the Amur falcons that go after termites, because, well, that you can see all the time. Even Wahlberg's eagles, steppe buzzards, they'll go after lesser spotted eagles. They'll go after all the termites when they hatch. So that's different. I mean, we can see that every time there's a rainstorm, you'll find a gathering of birds going after termites. But Gymnogene as well, I suppose. Yes, Lou, you're right. Gymnogenes, we do see them putting their feet inside, but it's not a common occurrence. If we work out the percentages of times we see it, it's not that often. So it's not a likely thing on safari. It's not something I would ever guarantee or say with absolute certainty that you'll see. But if you're right place, right time, as we've learned, it's very possible that you might get something amazing happening. So off you go. And I was hoping it was going to go up the termite mound, because when they go up the termite mound, that's when they start to call and often display. But look at the coloration when it turns its back to us now. You can see how quickly it blends in. So that black coloration is easy to see. As soon as it turned towards facing, well, putting its wings towards us, it was very difficult to then pick it up like that. You can see the coloration blends very well. Patty, the red-crested corans will lay their eggs on the ground. They just have very well camouflaged eggs, so it's much like the lapwings and varying other birds, but they don't build nests. They just have a small little shallow kind of leafy area, and they'll then lay their eggs in there, and the eggs will look just like the ground that they're on, and therefore predators completely miss them as they walk past. So that's how they do it. But our koran is disappearing, so I'm going to mosey on along towards Treehouse Dam. Roshni, birding on foot or birding on a vehicle, which do I prefer? Birding on foot. The reason being is that on a vehicle you tend to spook a lot of things before you even get there. For us, with doing what we do, the vehicle is easier because the camera it can move around, and it can punch in, and it's stable and steady. But in terms of actually birding on foot is far better for me than on a vehicle. You tend to be able to find a lot more birds on foot, and maybe the combination of it is probably the best way, because you need a vehicle to cover certain land ecosystems in a day, and you want to try and get to different places. On foot, that's quite difficult. But if you're in a place where it's very similar terrain, so let's say something like a rainforest, being on foot for me is where I would want to be and where I would want to bird. It's certainly, in my experience, much easier and much better. You can hear the calls, you can see movement all around you, which we miss a little bit when we are in a vehicle. We miss a lot of the calls. Right, well, I'm going to mosey on to Treehouse Dam, and while I do that, let's go back to Jamie, who's bumbling in the Mara.
I completely forgot to tell you the best part of the whole story last night. So, while that Thompson's gazelle wanders off, swishing its tail beautifully, I have to tell you that last night I had absolutely no signal, none at all. And phone signal, I mean. I couldn't really get hold of anyone. I was trying to send messages, it wasn't really working. And then Manu and I started discussing the fact that we didn't have mattresses with us, which, as it was, we didn't sleep much last night, but they were still very useful. But that I'd forgotten the mattresses, and I'd forgotten to bring wet wipes, which I actually don't think would have helped the amount of mess that we made last night. But anyway, I said yes, and I forgot my common sense, obviously referring to the decision to try and cross the puddle. I don't know how it happened, but Siri decided that was the piece of advice that she was going to pick up on my phone. I don't know how. I must have pressed a button or something. But she very kindly found me some common sense. I took a screenshot of it. I don't know how clearly it's going to come out, Manu. It might be a bit reflective, isn't it? Is it fine? Common sense. Common. American rapper, actor, and author. Thanks, Siri. The most help I've ever been given when I've been stuck. I really don't know how that happened. I didn't even have signal. Common sense. Okay, check it out. Here, I'm going to give you a rapper. Buzzman Sparkles, yes, I mean, I think that the amount of rain will mean that we could see more water birds hanging out in puddles. I'm not sure if it's going to be more water birds or just the fact that they're going to disperse further out. We might see them on a more regular basis because there's lots and lots of standing groundwater available. Lila's making a really horrible sound. I feel so bad. Last night, my plan was to go back to the cheetah. I thought I saw a yellow-throated sandgrouse for a second, which might be a new bird for you. I'll keep an eye out. I've seen them here. We were going to go back to the cheetah last night, and we just couldn't get across the river. There was absolutely no way, short of having a submarine or a hovercraft, that we were going to get to them, which I was quite sad about. I was really looking forward to spending more time with them. So the plan for the morning is just to go and see whether or not we've got lucky. Perhaps the water's down enough for us to cross, but if it isn't, maybe they've decided to cross towards us. I have to find my way there first. Sean, I love frogs. I really enjoy frogs. So Sean's wondering what are our favorite animals that come out when it rains. Frogs. Saw a hedgehog, which is for the first time in a very, very long time that I've seen a hedgehog. So they come out after the rain to catch all of the bugs. So I like hedgehogs. What else? I like giant land snails, which you don't really get here. I'm not a huge fan of the number of flying ants that come out after the rain, that population explosion, and I'm not a huge fan of the safari ants that come out after the rain to go out hunting all the insects. I have to say, I find, especially when you're trying to get to the bathroom, between your tent and the bathroom, and there's just this line of safari ants waiting to ambush you. What else am I fond of that comes out after the rain? I love the bird calls after the rain as well. It always sounds like they're so relieved that it's all over. Then they come out and they start singing and chirping. My biggest concern last night was the hippo. But as it was, we were absolutely fine. Speaking again of the amazing birds that chirp merrily about after the rain, never mind, I'll take that back. I was going to send you across to some robins, but I've changed my mind. Or something has changed my mind. Manu, what do you think? You think we're going to get across this one? I don't even know why I ask you, because you just say yes. And we have. Every other one since then. Oh, this one looks a bit... I think those guys got across it though. I think we'll be okay. I don't think it's too bad. If our signal holds out, you can join us on the mad race through the mud. Manu keeps saying to me, speed is your friend. Speed is your friend. I know. Those lion cubs I really wanted to go back to. I really wanted to go back to see those lion cubs today, and actually I wanted to go last night to see what that pride gets up to. They were on the other side of the river. It was just that simple. I couldn't get there. Vague sense of deja vu, Manu. Everybody hold on. This isn't too bad. They're deceptive. You think it's okay, and then it's really not. No, sorry, Umka. The only way I could have got to those lion cubs last night would have been to go out of Tulloch Gate and drive around the main road to Musiara, which probably would have taken us a good 2 hours. Admittedly, we would not have got stuck, but that's a hindsight situation. I think Brent and I were discussing our plans for this evening, and I think that there's a possibility that he will go towards that area and I will head straight south towards Salas, which is where the main body of at least the main body of the migration that we can go and visit. That's where they are. Oh, and I don't know if I told you, but the 5 musketeer cheetahs are not in our Traverse area. They're in one of the conservancies. I know that Chantal is frantically speaking at me. I got one word, or half a word. I got blah. There we go. Well, speaking of Brent and the plans that we have tentatively made, let's go and find out whether or not he has any plans for this morning.
Welcome back, Fergus. Search.
Well, unfortunately, we have a few technical glitches in the Mara side of things now, so you're back with me, but I'm sure things will be sorted soon, and sounds like Jamie's having a rather exciting 24 hours from being stuck in the mud, which is we all got a photo of and it's quite entertaining. I'm not sure if she showed you just how stuck she was, but they looked very stuck from what I could see. So she sounds like she's having a wonderful time now, crossing rivers and the adventurer that she is being. She didn't show all of you how stuck she got. Wonderful, which means that I can show all of you. So let me just make sure that my screen does not have my grubby mitts all over it, and let's just quickly find it, because it was Lou, which one was it? Can't even remember. I think it was this one. There we go. So this is Jamie Patterson last night and Manu. They were, as you can see, not too perturbed by being stuck, because you'll see on the photograph that while they are very stuck, and you may notice that that tire is all the way in the mud, so this car is sitting on its axle basically, which means it is going nowhere. But look over here, this is what you can see. This is what happens when you get stuck in the Mara, is you whip out a cup of coffee and you just take it easy and chill and wait for help. It's not like here where you've got to try and get out, but you can see Mano is very happy. He's got himself some coffees, pointing at his high left jack and his nice stuck vehicle. So that was Jamie Patterson last night. It's a pity Jamie wasn't in the driver's seat and giving us a little smile and a wave. But either way, it was quite entertaining when she sent that through. Apparently she's not the first though. Apparently Brentley Smith has been stuck a few times, which he's been very quiet about, because when I get stuck, Brent is on my case in 2 seconds. So I'm now very thrilled to hear that he's been stuck, and it's definitely going to warrant a phone call later today, just to ask him exactly what he's been getting up to and how many times he's gotten stuck and where he's got stuck. No doubt he'll tell me that it's because the car's diffs are not working or something like that, but we know better, don't we? Exactly. But I'm sure there's going to be more than, well, in fact everybody I'm sure is going to get stuck in the Mara. This is not even the rainy season properly yet. It's going to get very wet, very muddy, and there's going to be a lot of that over the next little bit, particularly now as we go in towards January, February, March, April, May is probably the worst time in the Mara for that kind of thing. And so it's going to be interesting just to see how many people get stuck and what actually ends up happening. No sign of any leopard tracks there. Right, Janet Jackson, are you home today? No sign of Janet Jackson. Let's just turn off for a second and listen. We know that Janet Jackson the other day was putting on quite a performance and singing and carrying on and squeaking. So let's have a little listen. She certainly didn't sound like one of the Jackson 5 though when she was making a noise. No, all quiet, no sign, no tails, no anything that we can see. Generally, if I come here and they're here, you find this little body slinking straight upwards, and then you know at least they're around, and then it's worth just sitting for a little bit. But when you don't see anything shooting up, then generally it's a sign that there's nothing actually in the hole itself. Now, I believe Jamie Patterson is crossed a river and has now found some sort of leftovers, and I hope it's not some biscuits in the bottom of her tin.
something rather interesting, just to completely distract you from the photo that Tristan decided to show you. We've come across a set of lungs, and I don't want to disturb any sensitive viewers, so we've stayed quite wide. But look away now, and we'll have a slightly closer look at this particular bodily organ that's sitting randomly in the middle of the road. Kind of weird. I assume something got interrupted whilst trying to feed on it, or perhaps the jackal got really, really lucky and managed to run away with it and then dropped it here in the middle of the road because it got disturbed. Lungs are actually they're quite nutritious things. They're quite nice to eat for the animals, not necessarily for us, but for the animals, certainly. So that is odd to witness. You can see the trachea. Wide open pipe, there you go, that's that solid pipe over there. And then the lobes of the lungs. Why, oh why, would there just be randomly a set of lungs in the middle of the road? It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's a bit macabre. I'm guessing by the size, maybe an adult Thompson's gazelle. Although that trachea looks a little bit thick. Maybe a baby wildebeest, but then it looks too small. Something out here died, and that's fresh, that's from last night, otherwise that would be long gone. Let us go and see. Well, it definitely doesn't belong to that fellow over there. He's been dead for a while. There's a carcass over there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. No, probably not his or hers. And the rest of them seem to be breathing just fine. I wonder what it was. Jackal, hyena, lions. Go and look. Cheetah? Maybe we're lucky. I have absolutely no idea where that came from. I think that the culprit is long gone. I'm guessing jackal, running away with it and then getting interrupted, but I don't know why it would have just left them there. Morning! And everything else around here looks pretty healthy. No lions. No sign of lions. And good morning to Rebecca, who's wondering if safari ants are like fire ants. There are certain similarities in that once the one bites, the rest of them start to swarm around them, because obviously they release a pheromone that attracts the rest of the soldiers. Their bites don't burn. They're sore, but they're sore because it's like somebody stabbed 2 needles into your flesh. They don't burn in the way that I think fire ant bites do. I mean, I've never encountered fire ants, so I'm not entirely sure exactly what it feels like to be bitten by one. But it is highly unpleasant, and the problem is they just don't let go. You kind of got to wrench them off. And occasionally you try to get them off and the head just comes off. Ah, there we go. There's our answer. And actually it would explain why the lungs went for a walk, all of their own accord. Because if something came to feed on them and drop them, that would make sense. Now, it looks like we've got some tawnies, some marabous, some fighting vultures. I want them to fly away. I think it's safe to assume that this is the rest of said carcass, minus the lungs. I wonder what happened to you. Even a bateleur just took off. One of the things that we see a lot during the migration is deaths without any obvious cause, and it's often from an injury, something that the wildebeest has acquired during a crossing, and then it just hasn't recovered, and eventually got too weak to carry on and keep up with the rest of the herd. So there we go. There's the rib cage once containing the lungs. I think a jackal or something ran off with them and then was forced to drop them. hooded vultures, marabou storks, and a tawny eagle. And I saw a batelier as well. Pair of tawny eagles. Well, there it goes. That could be an explanation. If it got too heavy and it dropped it, because I promise you that eagle flew off with more than it has now. There it goes. Taking it off to feed somewhere without the competition. So we'll never know the answer to what killed this wildebeest, but we will know where the lungs came from. At least it's not going to waste. A collection of conventionally unattractive birds, but essential in this ecosystem. They've even pulled the stomach contents out. I have to say, it looks like a very incomplete wildebeest, doesn't it? Aside from the obvious, it looks as though it's missing a lower half, which makes me think maybe it is the leftovers of a lion or a hyena kill. It wasn't completely... This cannot have been the work of these birds in the past 2 hours, because that's the time that the sun's been up. These birds would only have got here a little while ago. Which means somewhere there are lions or hyenas with full bellies. Let's go and see if we can find them. The birds are looking well fed. The wildebeest looking unconcerned. Oh, hold on, let's just see if there's questions about this. Now, Lara Moore, you're wondering about the protrusion from the base of the marabou stork's neck, and if this is in fact the bird's crop. It's sort of an extended crop, but it's not extended for the reason that it's for storage of food, although it can help with that particular function. It is in fact one of the ways that the storks thermoregulate, and also it flushes during the time when the males are breeding, or males and females are breeding. So it gets a very, very pink, very bright, or actually bright red flush to it. And it's called a gular sac that protrudes down there. So it's not the crop. The crop sits above it, I think, as far as I know. But it is an extension of it. And if you look, speaking of thermoregulation, if you look at the stork's legs, you'll notice that they almost look as though they've been painted white. And that is another way that marabou storks thermoregulate, which is to defecate on their legs. So that white comes from the uric acid, or the concentrated uric acid, because birds don't urinate. All in all, I mean, they are incredible birds. They are very special birds, but they're not very attractive birds. You can see the tawny hopping about the stomach contents. I wonder. I don't think this is that old of a carcass. I wonder where the culprits are. I walk in the rain. I drive in the rain. I walk in the rain, which is similar but different. That is the rest of. That's not the rest of it. That's not the other half of the wildebeest that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking sort of it's missing a pelvis and back legs. But what that is the stomach contents that have been pulled out. Predators don't really enjoy stomach contents. There's not much to recommend to them. They can't digest the partially digested grass, and that's essentially what the stomach contents are. So whilst they might lick around the edges to get the blood vessels and the connective tissue, they don't actually really enjoy the stomach contents at all. So usually when you have a kill, you'll find that the predators will disembowel it first. And the storks are not quite as fussy. They're picking around the stomach contents and eating the little chunks of meat that have been left behind or pulled out at the same time. But it's not the rest of the kill. I mean, there is half a wildebeest missing, unless it's very contorted and it's hidden behind the top half. But I don't think so. My money's on hyenas, I think. It is great, Manu. Luckily, I managed to turn around and start going uphill, so I think we managed to save that one from near disaster. Now, unfortunately, I was apparently sending you across to Brent, but it didn't work. He's disappeared. So we will continue on the search for something exciting to show you. Okay, so in the breakup, I'm gathering that Tristan either has a Verreaux's eagle owl or a Verreaux's eagle. My money's on the eagle owl, but let's go find out.
Well done, Jamie. Your money would have been safe. It's a Verreaux's eagle owl that is sitting just off the ground that Senzo spotted for us, and we were busy in the Mulawati looking at young male leopard tracks, and the birds were going crazy, and I was convinced that maybe our leopard was right here, but I think it's more along the lines of this owl, although the fact that these birds are seeing that owl in that thicket is almost sort of unbelievable. But this is that very relaxed Verreaux's eagle owl that we see around Twin Dams. It amazes me how chilled this bird is. I mean, we are no more than, I would say, 10 meters from this bird, and we're at the same level as it, and normally owls would be quite shy of us being so low down and being so close to it, but this particular individual just really doesn't care. And you can see those beautiful bare pink eyelids that you've got there, and just starting to close its eyes. It's getting to that time of the day where our owls need to go to sleep and to spend some time resting. But look how it turns its head. At that level, it's going to be in a place where it's going to have to be very careful, because it's low to the ground, and if something were to see it down there, like a leopard, it would certainly try and chase after it. But how amazing is that? Don't you love how they turn their head? So it's pretty incredible, and you can see the camouflage as well. When it sits underneath the tree, it is very well camouflaged, and it's interesting that it's chosen there to land. I wonder if it maybe didn't have a kill or something, and that's why it went in and sort of landed underneath the tree like that, because given that it's so sort of low to the ground, I would have thought maybe it ate there or something like that, because it's not a place that an owl would like to sit. They normally like to find a branch higher up where they can camouflage right up against the stumps or the tree trunk, but this bird is quite out in the open, and it's quite an odd place. I've never really seen Verreaux's eagle owls as low as this, sitting and taking it as easy as what they are. Frank from Albania. Frank, I think you are the first person that we've had ask a question from Albania, as far as I understand it. Well, it's certainly the first answer or question that I've had from Albania, so nice to hear from you. And you want to know how big this bird can get, so how big the Verreaux's eagle owl is. And well, they will weigh at about 3 kilograms at fully grown. That's the upper echelons of how big they are, and they will stand about 66 centimeters tall, so about 60 to 66 centimeters, so quite a tall bird. And in terms of its wingspan, I'm not actually 100% sure of its wingspan, but I would imagine its wingspan must be about just over a meter. It would probably be about right for that wingspan. It's not the biggest wingspan. They've got quite short, stubby wings, which is typical of owls, but it is a big, bulky bird, and it's the largest owl that we get in this particular section. We don't get owls any bigger than that out here. So that's why it used to be called the giant eagle owl, and then its name was changed to Verreaux's eagle owl. But you see, your feet are tucked in at the moment. Oh, got a little front. Anna Marie, you say punk rock eyeshadow. Yes, they do look quite odd with these pink eyelids. They're the only owl that displays a coloured eyelid, and it's actually because there's no feathers on it. It's bare skin. That's why it's pink in coloration. There's no use for it or anything like that. It's just bare skin, and it's probably from the way that those eyes open so large, and the rubbing must mean that if there were feathers it would cause a bit of a problem. So is there another one here? It sounds like there's some sort of owl behind me as well, maybe one of the smaller ones that is around. Amazing though to see. They really are incredible birds, and like I say, the way that they blend in. I mean, I drove here already once and we missed it completely, so to be able to see that is really quite wonderful. Very sleepy owl as well. You see the eyes are starting to get closed, and I suppose if you've been up all night you would also be quite tired. Very nice. Well, owl, I think we're going to leave you to yourself and not worry you anymore. Faisal, exactly what we were alluding to just now is that where it's perched and so low down, it could easily become a target for somebody like Hosanna or Tamba. They, I'm sure, would see this and think of an opportunity. The thing is you can see an owl is a very alert creature. It's looking in all directions, and at least it's got that tree on the back to stop anything kind of sneaking up from behind. So it'd have to come from the left, right, or in front, and that's not going to be very easy. The owl will probably see it before it gets close. But yes, it does make it vulnerable for sure. I would imagine our young boys, or even Shongile, would definitely try and chase after it. Even Tandi maybe. I don't know about Tingana. I think might just leave it, but you never know. It does make it vulnerable though. I'm very surprised that it's sitting as low as it is, and it is the lowest I have seen of a rose eagle owl in a tree. Very, very seldom will you see them in that position. You generally find that they spend more of their time sitting higher up. Now, I believe Brent Leo Smith is racing somewhere, so let's quickly jump across to him and see what it is.
Hello, welcome back. Sorry about that a little bit earlier. I am in a bit of a rush. That female cheetah I was looking for, I've heard, has moved off the escarpment, is actually closer to the river. So I'm trying to get down there now, and I hope she's actually got something to eat, because the last time we saw her she was very hungry. And I don't blame her from leaving the escarpment. There's not much there. I'm going to show you very quickly. We are in the clan lands, and the hyena den isn't too far from here, but there's one spotted hyena watching a warthog run away, and just popped his head up. There we go. Hello, Howard. Rude awakening from a warthog. So this is North Clan lands, as I like to call them, the clan lands. Okay, bye hyena. We got other spots to find. So somewhere down in this vicinity, under a single boskia. Now, for those of you who don't know what a boskia is, it's a shepherd's tree. So most of the trees that we're driving past here are actually Balanites trees, a torchwood. So we're ignoring torchwoods, and heading for a boskia. Now, it's amazing how locally the rain can fall in the Mara, because I was a bit worried taking this road, because this road can become incredibly sticky. But compared to closer to Angama and where we were, it seems like this area didn't get nearly as much rain. So the areas that I was expecting to maybe have a bit of problem with are actually wonderfully dry. So I can move a little bit quicker than I initially thought I was going to. So remember, this is 100% live. You don't know what's around the next corner. I'm hoping it's a cheetah, but in this case it's some elephants, who unfortunately I'm not going to spend too much time with. I'm just going to squeeze past them. Lots of elephants around at the moment. It's probably about the 10th or 11th herd we've seen this morning, and they've moved back from the escarpment in the forests, and now that the wildebeest are not around at the moment. So when the wildebeest tend to be here in en masse, the ellies don't like it, so they move away. Hi guys, enjoying your breakfast? Alana is wondering, is flash flooding a problem in the Mara? Indeed it is, Alana. So when Zander and I first arrived in May, we nearly got caught with flash flooding on the other side of the river, and we had to do some quite hairy river crossings in quite high water. And there's certain rivers and streams that flash flooding is a problem with, and the two worst ones are the Olalarok and the Talek on the other side, and they can go, because they are quite close to the mountain ranges there, so they can go from nothing to raging torrents in no time whatsoever. And Jamie actually yesterday when she left, she crossed over the Mara River outside of the park. There's a bridge there, and then she went in around the Musiara Marsh, and she spent time with those two lovely ladies, two of my favorite cheetah in the Mara, Armani's daughters. And then she went back to Al Shaiki, which is the camp we stay at when we're on that side, and it just started raining at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and by the time it stopped raining at about 5 o'clock, and she went to try get back to those cheetah, both the Olarok and Talek were pretty much unpassable. So Jamie had a huge amount of rain in the area she was last night. The elephants making a mess of the road, and she wasn't able to cross either of those rivers. In this area, there's a couple of little rivers, and if you're coming, one you actually have to watch out for is the Mara River. That the bridge outside of the park here is actually quite a low bridge, and we can have not a drop of rain in the Mara, but if it rains in the Mau Highlands, the Mara River can come up very, very quickly. We have a comedian out there this morning. Jono says, does the rain fall mainly on the plains? No, Jono, it falls, I was going to say a bad word, everywhere. It literally does fall everywhere, from the top of the escarpment to the plains, to the valleys, to the forest, to the grassland. And of course, the high rainfall here is what creates this absolutely amazing and quite unique ecosystem that we have at this lush grass and this high density of herbivores, which creates an incredibly high density of predators. So it does fall everywhere. So I'm pretty sure that single boskia is the one out there, but it's going to take some maneuvering to get there. Now, you can see there's quite a few little roads through this area, but come March, May, April, you can't even drive here. It's actually a massive swamp. So we'll enjoy driving here while we can. So we should be coming up to the road I'm looking for that should be taking us straight towards that boskia shortly. I'm pretty certain that cheetah is one of Kenya's daughters, but I'm still waiting for confirmation. Stephen's wondering why do the park staff not put gravel in the wetter parts of the road? Well, Stephen, I don't think there's enough gravel in Kenya, to be honest. So the main access roads, the ins and outs, the big main roads are maintained and capped with gravel. But unfortunately, there are just far too many roads in the Mara. And the other problem is that the soil type here, you would have to literally gravel every single road that is away from the rocky areas around the escarpment, because it's a black cotton soil, which is a type of clay, and it becomes very, very slippery. And in the Mara Triangle, probably about 70% of the soil and then obviously 70% of the area is on this black cotton soil, so it wouldn't actually be possible. It would be a mammoth task. It's difficult enough, and they do an absolutely fantastic job maintaining the main access roads, and that enables us to actually even move when it's wet. Otherwise, we would spend a lot more time like Jamie and Manu did last night. Okay. There's the boss gear. Now let's hope she hasn't moved off too far. Helene would like to know, do we have any photos? Do I have any photos of when I got stuck in the mud? No. We weren't stuck for very long, and it's actually a bit of an embarrassing story to how we got stuck. I should never have got stuck. It was a momentary lapse of concentration. So we finished the last of the TV shows, and we had the Amani girls being chased by lions, and Dave and myself and Nehemiah were on quite the high. And speaking of high, I turned around to give Dave a high five, and I wasn't watching where I was going, and we were off-road, and I ended up in a big muddy hole. But fortunately for us, there was a governor's vehicle close by, so we were stuck for about 6 minutes, so it wasn't even time to take a photo. We are getting into the area where that female cheetah was spotted earlier today, so I'm going to need to concentrate quite heavily. While I do that, let's go see how Jamie's faring way on the other side of the Mara.
I'm having a great time. I'm not entirely certain where I am. I mean, I know where I am, I'm just a little bit confused on the details. I've just been chatting to one of the other guides who tells me that Armani's daughters are on their way into a conservancy, which is deeply saddening to hear. But they'll be back, I'm sure they'll be back. Unfortunately, the conservancy is outside of our Traverse area, and we're going down. I must say, I don't know where I am, but it's really pretty. It's really, really pretty. I think this is the Talek River. How did I end up on this side of the Talek? It's actually quite an impressive feat, really. Oh well. I'm not going to complain, it's pretty. I remember this crossing point. I remember being here with Brent, but we were on the other side, and one of the rangers told us if we felt brave we could cross here. And we didn't feel brave, and we didn't cross here. I don't feel brave today. I don't think I can handle the indignity of being stuck twice in a row. Oh, is that wildebeest or buffalo over there, Manu? Marching down the hill. They know where they're going. There we go, they're over there. What is that? Fuldies on a mission. Heading somewhere for reasons only they know. Because there's been rain everywhere. Save Devon, no, the Gnu's very seldom use the bridge to very seldom use the bridge to cross the rivers. It's not within their instinct to go wandering across something that makes a noise, the metal makes a noise, or across the concrete. And a lot of people have said that people should just build a bridge for the wildebeest to go across. I'm not sure that's really the solution. Crossings are important. They're the way that this ecosystem has evolved. Although I understand, they can be very, very difficult to watch. And apparently, Alex was telling us that Burungat Bridge is just filled with wildebeest carcasses that have washed down the river. making their way. That's where we'll be heading in that direction tomorrow morning, I think. By the end of the long night tonight, we'll be making our way towards... Oh! Did anyone else catch what those little antelope were up to at the back? I think they were mating. I think we just missed it. Peacefully grazing. Don't forget, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you have any questions that you'd like to ask us. Watching live from the Masai Mara, looking at one of the most beautiful areas that I've driven so far. I can see fig trees, Thompson's on the other side. Can hear the river flowing. It's safe to say we're not going to be going across that. Not there anyway. Morning, sorry.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good.
We would like you to join us for breakfast.
You'd like us to join you for breakfast? Well, now that sounds amazing. What do you think, Chantal? Should Manu and I disappear off and enjoy some breakfast? Because I think that's a marvelous idea. I don't think I'm going to say no. Manu? Breakfast? Yeah. Yeah, I think the answer to breakfast is always yes. I'm going to turn around now. I'm going to join these kind people for breakfast.